Peaceful beginnings. The sun rose over the tranquil village of Lian, nestled in the lush mountains of Yunnan Province, China. Birds chirped their morning melodies as the first light touched ancient cobblestone streets. Mai Lin, an energetic 8-year-old girl, yawned and stretched in her cozy bed, excited for the day ahead. Mai Lin, breakfast is ready, her mother Wei called from the kitchen. Mai Lin hopped out of bed, her long black hair bouncing as she scurried downstairs. The aroma of steamed buns and spicy noodles filled the air. Her father Chen sat at the table, sipping tea and reading news on his tablet. "Good morning, my little sparrow," Chen said, smiling warmly at his daughter. Mai Lin giggled at her nickname and plopped down to eat. As she slurped her noodles, she asked, "Papa, can we go to the market today? I want to get a new kite." Chen nodded. "Of course, after you finish your homework." Theirs was a scene playing out in countless homes across the planet. In New York, business people rushed to work clutching coffee. Rio's beaches hosted early morning surfers. Tourists marveled at the pyramids of Giza. For years, Earth had enjoyed an unprecedented era of peace and prosperity. Nations cooperated to solve global issues. Science and technology progressed rapidly. Poverty and disease were at record lows. Humanity dreamed of a bright future among the stars, unaware their world would soon change forever. High above the atmosphere, a sleek silver spacecraft suddenly appeared. Its hull gleamed in the sun as it silently approached the unsuspecting blue marble below. Inside, gray-skinned aliens with 4 golden eyes studied holographic displays of the planet. Scan complete. Primitive technology detected. No significant space presence, the alien captain hissed. Proceed with resource extraction. Back in Lian, Mai Lin finished her studies and tugged on Chen's sleeve. "Papa, market time." Chen chuckled and rose. "All right, little sparrow, let's go find you a kite." Hand in hand, father and daughter strolled through the village's winding streets. Colorful lanterns swayed in the mountain breeze. The chatter of villagers and tourists filled the air. Suddenly, a deep rumble thundered from the heavens. Startled faces turned skyward as an enormous shadow fell over Lian. The alien mothership descended through the clouds, dwarfing the tallest peaks. Panic erupted as a blinding green beam shot from the craft, vaporizing everything it touched. Buildings crumbled to dust. Trees and crops withered instantly. Chen scooped up Mai Lin and sprinted home, the little girl crying out in terror as her village disappeared in flashes of searing emerald light. They burst through the door, and Chen shouted for Wei. She grabbed a bag and threw in supplies as the family fled towards the mountains. A second beam lashed out, striking just meters from them. The blast flung Chen and Wei to the ground, but Mai Lin was torn from her father's arms and tossed like a rag doll, landing crumpled some distance away. "Mai Lin," Wei screamed, crawling to her limp daughter. As the alien ship rose, its grim work complete, Lian lay in smoldering ruins. Chen cradled Mai Lin's broken form, her breath shallow. Wei wept in horror at her injuries. Rage built inside Chen as he stared at the receding ship, fists clenched in solemn determination. They had made a grave mistake, he thought. They had attacked a child. Humanity would not let this stand. The aliens had no idea the fury they had just unleashed. Alien arrival. In the wake of the attack on Lian, the world descended into chaos. Videos of the destruction flooded social media and news outlets. Fear and confusion gripped the globe as humanity struggled to comprehend the unprecedented assault from the stars. In hidden command bunkers, military and political leaders scrambled for answers. At the White House, United States President James Hernandez paced the Situation Room, his brow furrowed with worry. On the view screen, grim faces of other world leaders stared back. "What do we know?" Hernandez asked, his voice strained. U.S. Space Force General Sofia Ramirez stepped forward. "Mr. President, at 800 local time, an extraterrestrial spacecraft of unknown origin appeared without warning over Yunnan Province, China. Using advanced directed energy weapons, it obliterated the village of Lion within minutes before vanishing from radar. The Chinese president spoke up, barely concealed fury in her voice. "Thousands of my citizens are dead. We cannot let this act of war go unanswered." Ramirez nodded. "Since Lion, there's been no further sign of the invaders. But given the ease with which they struck, we must assume this was not an isolated incident. The entire planet is at risk." Hernandez pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling the weight of the world upon him. "I need options, people. How do we protect Earth?" Silence fell over the assembled leaders, each acutely aware of their vulnerability. Then a voice emerged from the back of the room, steady and clear. "We fight." Heads turned to see a tall woman stride confidently to the front, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes sharp and calculating. Nadia Sokolov, director of the Russian space agency Roscosmos, smiled thinly. With respect, a British official said, "We've seen what their weapons can do. Surely our current forces are no match." "Our current public forces, no," Nadia replied. "But for decades, a clandestine international alliance has been preparing for this very day." She tapped a command into the console. The screen dissolved into schematics of futuristic spacecraft bristling with advanced weaponry. Since retrieving alien crash wreckage after World War II, Earth's superpowers began to reverse engineer the technology, knowing we were not alone. The result is a secret fleet of ships with capabilities beyond any known to the public. Warp drive, DEOUs, invisibility. We have the tools to meet this enemy head-on. Hernandez stared at the secret blueprints, jaw slack. "My God, how long? How did you keep this hidden?" "Decades of work. Black budgets, skunk works, international cooperation at unprecedented levels. We knew revealing the truth could cause mass panic, economic disruption, even war." Nadia's gaze swept the room. "But now disclosure is irrelevant. The threat is here. It is time for Project TTITN to launch. It is time for humanity to take the fight to the stars." As the world leaders absorbed this revelation, committing their forces to this new united effort, Chen and Wei held vigil over Mylin in a crowded hospital back in China. The little girl lay swathed in bandages, hooked to beeping machines, holding his wife as she wept. Chen watched the news reports of the upcoming counterattack, praying it would succeed. They had taken his home. They had nearly taken his daughter. But they would not take his hope, his determination to see humanity triumph. As Mei Lin stirred in her induced coma, Chen leaned close and whispered to her, "Rest now, my little sparrow. Your wings will mend. And when you wake, a new world will await you. One where the monsters in the sky have learned to fear the wrath of Earth." Earth's secret weapon. Deep beneath an unassuming stretch of Siberian tundra, a hidden lift carried the assembled world leaders and military brass down into the bowels of the Earth. When the doors opened, it was to a cavernous hangar that stretched farther than the eye could see, filled with rows of gleaming silver ships poised for takeoff. President Hernandez craned his neck, awestruck by the sleek craft. "My God, you actually did it. You crazy bastards built us a space fleet." Nadia Sokolov allowed herself a rare smirk. The culmination of mankind's greatest minds, all working in secret to prepare for the day aliens knocked on our cosmic door. She strode onto a raised platform overlooking the bustling flight decks below, the world's elite at her side. With a nod to a technician, she activated a fleet-wide address. "Attention all Titan personnel. This is Director Sokolov. For decades you have trained in secret, knowing the day might come when you would be called upon to defend Earth. That day is here. An alien force has committed an act of war against us, slaughtering innocents without provocation. Even now they regroup for a second assault, believing us weak prey. But today we show them the true face of humanity." As her words boomed through the base, the gathered ship's crews paused to listen, an electric current of anticipation building. No more hiding in the shadows. No more fearing the unknown. Today we rise as one planet, one people, united against the dark. We are the best Earth has to offer, her sword and her shield. We are the torch-bearers, the line in the sand, the voice shouting to the heavens that we will not go quietly. The hangar erupted into a roar as technicians, pilots, and soldiers thrust their fists to the sky in defiance and determination. Nadia raised a hand, her voice softer but no less resolute. In this defining hour, our strength is not in our ships or our guns, but in our unity, our indomitable will to protect our home. For our fallen, for our families, and for the future of humanity, I hereby officially activate Pro-GCT-TITN and all its forces. To your stations. As cheers rang out, and crews scrambled to their ships with renewed purpose, Nadia turned to the stunned world leaders. Madame Director, the Chinese president said, visibly moved. Your words stir the soul. But are we truly ready for the battle to come? Nadia nodded to a strapping man in an admiral's uniform, who had come to stand beside her. This is Admiral Sergei Petrov, mastermind of our fleet and architect of our battle strategies. There is no one better suited to lead us to victory. Admiral. Sergei straightened, his green eyes flashing. Our ships may be untested, but our people have drilled relentlessly for this. And yet, the real key to defeating the invaders will be unpredictability. They will not expect serious resistance from a species as primitive as they believe we are. That arrogance will be their downfall. President Hernandez studied the high-tech fighters as they hummed to life. What's our first move, Admiral? Interception, Petrov replied grimly. We let them come to us. We have positioned stealth probes throughout the solar system to alert us of their approach. When they enter the moon's orbit, confident of another easy slaughter, we will be waiting. We will hit them hard and fast on our terms before they even glimpse the whites of our eyes. As the admirals and staff laid out the finer points of the ambitious plan, called Operation STARFALO, Nadia allowed her thoughts to briefly drift to the little girl who had become the face of the invasion. Mai Lin, now clinging to life in a hospital bed. Hold fast, little one, she whispered. Your species has not abandoned you. We will make the monsters pay. This I swear, on my life, and the lives of every soul on Earth. Then she rejoined the War Council, determined to see humanity draw its first alien blood. They had started this fight. Earth would finish it. The time had come for Homo sapiens to bare its teeth and remind the galaxy why it was unwise to poke an apex predator. Space battle at Mars. Klaxons blared through the hangar as red lights strobed, sending technicians and pilots scrambling to their ships. Admiral Sergei Petrov leaped into action, barking orders as he strode to the flagship of Earth's secret space fleet. Admiral, probes near Mars have detected multiple unidentified ships appearing from warp, an ensign reported, fingers flying over the console. Configuration matches the vessel that attacked China. Trajectory and velocity puts them on course for Earth orbit within 2 hours. Petrov scowled. So soon. The bastards were overconfident. Alert the fleet, he growled. This is what we've trained for. Initiate STARFALL immediately. It's time we introduced ourselves properly to our visitors. As the mighty flagship, christened the Zemiata after an ancient Earth goddess, rumbled to life, Petrov flashed back to the promise he'd made to himself and the world when he first took command of Project TITN. Never again would humanity cower before threats from the stars. Today, that vow would be tested. All ships, prepare for warp. Destination: Mars high orbit. The fusion drives of hundreds of human warships flared to life as the fleet rocketed out of the underground base into the atmosphere and beyond. Petrov's hand tightened on the arm of his captain's chair as the void of space enveloped them, distant stars blurring by as they hurtled towards the red planet and their date with destiny. As Mars loomed large in the viewports, the alien armada shimmered into view, a dozen capital ships ringed by scores of smaller attack craft. Petrov steeled himself for the battle to come. It was a force that, just days ago, humanity would have been all but powerless against. But today, the scales were balanced. Today, Earth struck back. Broadcast to the fleet, he ordered, voice steady despite the immensity of the moment. Attention all ships, this is Admiral Petrov. The enemy believes itself unstoppable. That was their first mistake. Their second was assuming us weak. Today, we show them what humans are made of. Today, we make them feel the fear they inflicted upon us. You are the finest Earth has to offer. I am honored to lead you into the crucible of history. All ships, battle stations, and Godspeed. With that, the human fleet scattered into attack formation as the startled alien ships scrambled to respond to the unexpected show of human force. Their moment of confusion was all Petrov needed. Flanking squads commence hit and fade attacks. Capital ships concentrate fire on their command vessels and get some birds in the air to show them a warm Earth welcome. Human fighters streaked into the fray, plasma cannons spitting star-hot death as they danced nimbly around enemy crafts used to slower, clumsier prey. The aliens rallied quickly, their own energy weapons flaying ships' hulls and turning space bright as a newborn sun. But humanity gave as good as it got, shielding technology providing an extra layer of defense as they pressed the attack with savage efficiency. On the Zenyatta, Petrov bellowed commands, maneuvering his armada like pieces on a chessboard. Lesser alien ships fell to the unorthodox human onslaught, thrown into disarray by concentrated missile barrages and micro-jump ambushes. Earth's forces fought like a beast backed into a corner, desperate, fierce, and unrelenting. But for all their heart, it quickly became clear the aliens' technological edge was just too great. For every enemy ship destroyed, 2 human craft were reduced to molten shrapnel. Petrov gritted his teeth as damage reports flooded in. They were inflicting grievous losses, but it wouldn't be enough. Not at this rate. There, his sensor officer cried. A weakness on their flanks. I believe we can. The man's report became a scream as a lucky alien shot pierced the bridge. Consoles exploded, sparks and blood filling the air. Petrov roared in defiance, even as a steel beam crushed his legs. The pain was immense, but he would not give the invaders the satisfaction of his cries. No, he thought grimly, spitting blood. Better to die with a curse on his lips and a finger on the trigger. Then a frantic comm officer picked herself from the deck, her face a mask of hope and disbelief. Admiral, Admiral, reinforcements inbound. Petrov forced his eyes to the view screen. What he saw stole his breath. Warp portals were opening across the battlefield. From them, new human ships poured forth. Chinese, Indian, Brazilian, Australian. Dozens of secret fleets, hidden like Thurogcttian across the globe, all converging on the beleaguered invaders in a pincer move of breathtaking scale. And at their head was a craft Petrov had only seen in whispered rumors, a golden pyramid, the pinnacle of reverse-engineered technology. The Cheops, pride of the United African Nations, and it was headed straight for the alien flagship like an avenging angel. This is General Zora Mansour of the UAN Cheops. A strong female voice declared over an open channel. Apologies for our late arrival, Admiral Petrov. We thought you could use a hand. Through the haze of pain and exhaustion, Petrov laughed. In that glorious moment, he understood the fundamental truth that would win them this war. For all their petty squabbles, when faced with an existential threat, humanity would always unite. And together, they were a force to be reckoned with. All ships rally to the Cheops. Petrov roared. Drive them back. For Earth. Rejuvenated, the combined human fleet surged forward as one, a shining blade aimed at the heart of the invaders. The alien ships reeled under the onslaught, their formation crumbling as human cunning and tenacity took their toll. The Cheops reached the enemy flagship, its golden hull glowing with eldritch energies. Zara's voice rang out once more. This is for Lion. A beam of blinding white burst from the pyramid's apex, spearing the alien command ship dead center. The craft imploded like a dying star, the shockwave scattering its armada like leaves before a hurricane. A ragged cheer went up from every human throat on every human ship. Against all odds, they had achieved the impossible. They had met the alien menace head-on and emerged victorious. The first battle was theirs. But even as the enemy fled and Earth's fleets regrouped, Petrov knew this was only the beginning. The first salvo in a wider war. The aliens would be back, and in greater numbers. Humanity had bloodied their nose and blacked their eye. But the true test was yet to come. Wincing as medics pulled him from the twisted wreckage of his chair, Petrov allowed himself a moment of solemn pride. Today, his people had proven their worth among the stars. Today, the galaxy had learned that Earth would not go quietly into the night. "Well met, General Mansour," he said over the comm, watching the elegant Cheops drift triumphant through the debris field. "Thanks to you and yours, we live to fight another day." "The honor is ours, Admiral," Zara replied, respect evident in her tone. "Earth stands as one. When the enemy returns, we will be ready." As the task of post-battle cleanup and preparing for the inevitable counterattack began, one thought crystallized in Petrov's mind, hard as diamond and twice as unbreakable. Humanity had started this war as scattered tribes, isolated and vulnerable. They would finish it as a united front, a single people forged in the flames of the most significant conflict in their history, and may the stars tremble before them. Preparing for invasion. In the wake of the stunning victory near Mars, a bruised but defiant Earth entered a new phase of the war, preparation for full-scale invasion. As battered ships limped back to bases and repair yards across the globe, a grim certainty settled over the planet's leaders. The aliens would return, and in force. Time was short, and there was much to do. At a secure facility hidden deep in the Amazon rainforest, scientists in biohazard suits and robotic Waldos pored over the shattered remnants of alien craft recovered from the battle. Every shard of strange alloy, every fragment of exotic technology, was a priceless treasure, a glimpse into their foes' capabilities. Most of the smaller ships seemed to be drones. Dr. Anna Souza of the United Nations Exotechnology Task Force mused, manipulating a holographic model of a dissected enemy fighter, operated remotely from the larger vessels or even from their home system. But the capital ships are crude. She highlighted what seemed to be a life support system laced through the craft's superstructure. "So they aren't invincible," President Hernandez said, his face creased with weariness on the wall screen. "They can bleed. They can die. And if they can die, they can be beaten." General Zara Mansour added grimly. Since her pivotal role in the Mars engagement, the formidable African commander had taken a leading position in the rapidly coalescing global defense initiative. "The question is how." "By playing to our strengths," Director Nadia Sokolov responded, her voice echoing from a research bunker in Siberia, where she oversaw the study of a mostly intact alien scout ship. "They still outgun us technologically, but we have the home field advantage. We know the territory. We can predict their likely attack vectors and fortify accordingly." "The Lagrange points," Admiral Petrov chimed in from his hospital bed, where he was recovering from his battle wounds. "If their goal is conquest rather than mere extermination, they will need to establish orbital superiority and staging areas for ground assaults. The L4 and L5 Earth-Moon positions are prime real estate for that." Souza nodded, pulling up a schematic of near-Earth space. "I concur. We should concentrate our forces there, establishing minefields, kill zones, and layered defensives. When they come, we'll make them pay for every inch of vacuum." As the greatest military minds on Earth debated strategy, and the world's industrial might shifted into overdrive to churn out new warships and weapons, a parallel effort was underway to bolster humanity's chances. In research hospitals and black site labs across the planet, biomedical breakthroughs gleaned from the alien wreckage were feverishly applied in a desperate bid to create a new breed of soldier. Geneticists, cyberneticists, and exobiologists worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of human enhancement. For the most gravely wounded survivors of the Mars battle and the Lion attack, these cutting-edge procedures offered a second lease on life and a chance for vengeance. In a top-secret wing of a military hospital in Shanghai, one such patient steeled herself to go under the knife. "Mei Lin, we don't have to do this," Wei pleaded, clutching her daughter's hand. In the months since Lion's destruction, the young girl had stabilized, but the road to recovery had been hard. The alien energies had ravaged her body, leaving her frail and racked with a strange wasting sickness that resisted conventional treatment. But now the doctors offered a radical solution, a regimen of biomechanical augmentations and retroviral therapies derived from the alien science that could not only heal Mei Lin, but make her stronger, faster, and more resilient than before. "I'm not afraid, Mama," Mei Lin said, a steely resolve in her eyes that belied her tender years. "The monsters took so much from us. I want to fight. I want to make sure they never hurt anyone else like they hurt me." "Oh, my brave sparrow," Chen whispered, a mix of pride and heartache in his voice. He knew there would be no dissuading her. The attack had lit a fire in Mei Lin, the burning need to stand up to the menace that had shattered her world. As the surgeons prepped Mei Lin for the grueling procedures to come, similar scenes played out in secure medical facilities worldwide. The aliens had wanted to break humanity's spirit, to cow them into submission. Instead, they had galvanized a wounded species into a single-minded purpose: survival at any cost. And on the front lines of that purpose would stand a new generation of warriors, rebuilt from the broken bodies of the fallen, forged in the crucible of loss and adversity, technologically augmented, mentally hardened, and driven by an indomitable will to protect their home. The Terran defenders had been born, and they would not rest until Earth's skies were free once more. United Earth. As the combined fleets of Earth took up defensive positions around the planet and its moon, a new age dawned for the denizens of the embattled world, the age of a truly united Earth. In a historic ceremony at the United Nations headquarters in New York, representatives from every nation gathered to ratify the formation of a unified world government. The alien threat had accomplished what centuries of diplomacy and shared peril could not. It had forged a fractious hodgepodge of states and statelets into a single political entity. "Today we set aside the conflicts and grievances of the past," declared Nadia Sokolov, elected by unanimous acclaim as the first Prime Minister of the new order. "In the face of annihilation, we have found common cause. We have remembered that we are one people, united by bonds far more powerful than those that divide us." As the world's militaries integrated into a single command structure, scientists and engineers joined forces in a desperate sprint to update Earth's defenses. Across the globe, shipyards and arms factories roared to life, churning out ever more advanced weapons of war. Salvaged alien technology was reverse-engineered and hybridized with human ingenuity, yielding astonishing breakthroughs in propulsion, energy weapons, and shielding. In hidden nanofoundries beneath the Gobi Desert, swarms of microscopic machines labored tirelessly to construct a webwork of quantum-entangled satellites and stealth mines, a secret Maginot Line waiting to be activated should the alien foe break through the planet's outer defenses. Deep underground, vast shelters and tunnel networks were carved out of bedrock, contingency plans for the worst-case scenario. And on the front lines, the newly minted Terran Defense Force trained relentlessly, integrating the augmented Terran defenders into their ranks. Among these elite soldiers, one name quickly rose to prominence: Sparrow. Private Mei Lin, callsign Sparrow, had taken to her enhancements like she was born for them. The frail girl had been reforged into a living weapon, her slight frame now corded with synthetic muscle, her senses sharpened by ocular and neural implants. In simulated combat, she moved with preternatural speed and grace, wielding a plasma rifle with uncanny accuracy. But it was her indomitable spirit that truly set her apart. The fire that had been kindled in her during those dark days in the hospital had been honed into a will as unyielding as titanium. She had become a symbol to her fellow defenders, a living embodiment of humanity's refusal to submit. As Earth braced for the coming storm, Mei Lin found herself called to the office of her mentor and namesake, Admiral Sarah Chen. The grizzled veteran looked up from a holographic readout of troop deployments, her eyes softening as Mei Lin entered, and snapped to attention. "At ease, Sparrow," Sarah said, gesturing for the young soldier to sit. "You've come a long way. Your parents would be proud." Mei Lin nodded, emotion flickering across her normally stoic features. "I fight for them. For Lion. For all of us." Sarah leaned forward, her expression grave. "The fight will soon be upon us. Long-range telemetry indicates a massive warp translation near Saturn. The enemy is massing for their final assault." She called up a new holo, a tactical overlay of the solar system. Red icons representing alien ships winked into existence, a baleful constellation heralding doom. "Conservative estimates put their forces at 10 times what we faced at Mars," Sarah continued grimly. "We're outnumbered and outgunned, but we're not outclassed. We'll give them the fight of their lives." Mei Lin studied the display, her enhanced mind already whirring with strategies and contingencies. "We'll be ready, Admiral. This is our home. We'll make them earn every inch with blood." As she made her way back to her unit, Mei Lin's thoughts turned to the future. So much had been lost in this war. Homes, livelihoods, lives. But through that loss, humanity had found an existential clarity. It had united them against the dark, lit a blaze of purpose that could not, would not, be extinguished. The aliens believed themselves superior, believed they could snuff out civilization like a candle. They were wrong. They may have come from the stars, but humanity was born of Earth, born of stone and steel, and sweat and sacrifice, born fighting tooth and nail for every scrap of existence. The time had come to teach the invaders what that truly meant. It was time for Earth's children to join the dance of worlds. The ground trembled as the mighty engines of 1,000 ships flared to life. The greatest armada ever assembled by humans streaked skyward, determined to meet their foe on equal terms. At their heart beat the defiant spirit of a species united. The battle for Earth had begun.